Today is May 26, 2020. We are reporting from Shinagawa, Tokyo, Japan. We definitely have some good news to announce today. The state of emergency in Japan that extended to the entire nation on April 7th is finally lifted in all the prefectures, including Tokyo. There has been less than 10 as low as 2 new cases in Tokyo for the past week. Despite the announcement of the state of emergency, the lockdown in Japan was a lot softer than other parts of the world. The restaurants and stores were never really closed. They were just closed earlier. The government had a lot of suggestions for staying home, social distancing, wearing masks, using hand sanitizers, but there was never any punishment for those flouting the rules. Because the people of Japan really followed the suggestions, the number of new infections has fallen from a peak of around 700 per day to just a few dozen nationally. The Tokyo government releases a 3-stage roadmap toward the reopening of businesses. In the first stage, it will allow libraries and museums to reopen and restaurants and bars to stay open 2 hours later until 10 p.m. In the second stage, shopping malls, theaters, movie theaters, and cram schools will be allowed to reopen, while the third stage will allow amusement parks and pachinko parlors to reopen and permit restaurants and bars to operate until midnight. I went to the temple today. There's definitely a lot less people at the temple. Instead of 5 different lines, there's only 1 line. You can see that people are social distancing themselves to pay respect to the gods. By the way, this is Akari, the super adorable pony that lives at the temple. He's really shy. Despite the lifting of the state of emergency, the government warned the people that they should adapt to a new normal and continue to avoid the 3 C's. They are closed spaces, crowded places, and close contact. Despite the fact that Japan has around 120 million people, during the pandemic, most of the restaurants and stores and small businesses stayed open. They just closed earlier. People still went to work, but some opted for home offices. There were only around 16,000 infections and 800 deaths, so Japan was doing quite well compared to other parts of the world. No one knows the real reason why, but some analysts suspected that it could be the culture of high levels of hygiene and general health, the habit of removing shoes indoors, widespread mask usage, and bowing as a greeting rather than shaking hands or kissing. These are pretty good measures that we can follow in the future. Japan also has a lot of hospitals, even unrelated hospitals such as dental hospitals will treat coronavirus. I took the subway today. The JR line is still pretty empty. The buses are still pretty empty. A lot of establishments suggest you wear masks before entering. But when I went to Ueno, it was pretty busy. You can tell that all the shops and restaurants are gradually reopening. My friend who had home office every day now has to go back to work half the time. The government will also gradually re-stimulate the economy because a lot of small businesses and corporations suffered during this pandemic. One survey said that 70% of the population really wants to reopen the economy. It seems that Japan is on its way to reopening its economy completely. Having said that, the government is still extremely cautious about the second wave, so rules still may change week by week. That is all the update for now. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for our next update.